Hi everyone, welcome to my first ever video here on the Fashionably Fit Motherhood channel. This video is just to give you an idea of what the channel and the Fashionably Fit Motherhood website will be about. But first, let me start out by saying I will try my absolute hardest to be as brief and concise as possible in my videos. But for those of you who know me, I have a natural tendency to be long-winded, so you'll probably find that most, if not all, of my videos will be a little bit lengthy. So I completely understand that not all of you have time to sit down and watch a 5-minute video, let alone a 30-minute video. So if you can't stand all the chit chat in between and you'd like me to get straight to the point, you can always check the show notes in the description boxes below, where I'll timestamp each topic I mentioned specifically, so at any point you can always skip forward to exactly which part you're interested in watching, if any. In those same description boxes, you're also going to find tons of other useful information, including pretty much anything that I may talk about or reference in my videos, like articles, books, websites, products, local businesses or business professionals, anything I may personally recommend. You can find all that stuff linked below, so you're not going to miss anything. Next thing I need to get out of the way. One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to watching YouTube videos is when I click play and then I'm instantly being bombarded with the person trying to convince me to click their subscribe button before I even had the chance to watch the content of the video. Now, I get it. The reason why they're so persistent when it comes to trying to get you to subscribe is because by creating a channel, you obviously want to build your audience, so it does help to have subscribers because it gains exposure and viewers. But I don't know about you, but when I'm introduced to a new channel or a person, it's almost like the first couple videos I watch of theirs is like our first date. And I'm not agreeing to a second date before we've even sat down and ordered drinks. I want to get to know them and see how that first date goes before I make that kind of commitment. Am I the only one? So, to avoid having to badger everyone about that in every single one of my videos, I'm just going to say this here once. If in the future you happen to stumble across a video of mine either here through YouTube or through my website and you enjoy watching the type of content I put out there and would be interested to see future videos, then yes, feel free to subscribe. Side note, I wish I didn't use the word subscribe because for a lot of people I'm familiar with or new to YouTube, like my grandmother, hi Nanny, it sounds like a subscription, and she's probably thinking that if she clicks on that button that she's going to get redirected somewhere that you have to sign up and pay for something. It's not like that, Nan. It just means that whenever you go into YouTube, when you're logged into an account, if you have an account, you'll see a feed, just like the news feed you see on Facebook, and it just shows you a list of all the latest videos that have been uploaded by the channels that you've chosen to subscribe to. Now, if you want to take it a step further and be alerted when that person, in this case me, puts out a new video, you just click the icon that looks like a bell next to the subscribe button. I think. Don't quote me on that. There. Done. Let's never speak of the subscription nonsense again. So, a lot of what I discuss on this channel relates to natural pregnancy and fertility, my personal experience having a natural and unmedicated water birth, but I also touch on things that I struggled with years before starting my family, like mental health issues, as well as a number of physical health concerns like weight gain, hormonal cystic acne, and adrenal fatigue, all of which had to be addressed before trying to conceive. So I talk about the different methods of healing that I used, again, personally, to correct my underlying nutritional deficiencies and lifestyle habits so that I could conceive naturally and also to ensure that I would have the best chances of having a healthy pregnancy, a healthy childbirth, and of course, a healthy baby. And being that I'm approaching 30, I have a lot of friends and family members and clients that are all at the same stage of wanting to start their family. So given my recent pregnancy and my background in health and nutrition, I get so many frantic texts and Facebook messages and emails asking everything related to pregnancy and motherhood. From, is it safe to lay out in the sun while you're pregnant? What sunscreen is the safest option? Are the toxins in my makeup harmful to the baby? Can I dye my hair? Can I take my allergy medicine? What can I take for a headache? Can I use bug spray? What are the best prenatals? What was your water birth experience like? What's a doula? Do I need a doula? Do I need a lactation consultant? Is it safe to co-sleep? What do contractions feel like? What's the difference between an OBGYN and a midwife? Can I have a glass of wine? Did you eat sushi? Did you eat tuna? How much caffeine or coffee can I have? What can I take for morning sickness? Am I going to poop in the tub if I have a water birth? That is a legitimate question. I wonder the same thing. And the most commonly asked question, how do I lose the pregnancy weight? So many questions. And I would happily stop whatever I was doing to answer each question individually as best as I could. But I thought this would be a much more efficient and convenient method of giving the most comprehensive answers to these kinds of questions by collaborating with a team of qualified professionals, including midwives, OBGYNs, doulas, lactation consultants, naturopathic family practice doctors, pediatricians, registered nurses, including delivery nurses, and even acupuncturists, physical therapists, chiropractors, and the likes. All that I've worked with that have more experience, education, and credentials than I do, while also sharing my own personal experiences being a brand new mama of Natalia. Next topic I think is worth mentioning here is that I did struggle a little bit with finding the right name for this channel. Being that I decided on the name Fashionably Fit Motherhood, I want to make sure I drive home the point that the last thing I want to do is perpetuate this unrealistic idea that you have to have a perfectly fit body through pregnancy or bounce right back after having a baby, or to have this sort of perfect, fashionably coordinated lifestyle during pregnancy and motherhood like we see all over Instagram. Because let's be honest, it's really hard to see those women and not be envious and not want to achieve that for ourselves. But the simple truth is, most, if not all of that, is not real. Whether that person is using Photoshop, good angles, good lighting, shout out to good lighting. You have to bear in mind that that person is only exposing the best of themselves and their lives, which is fine. It's not a crime, even for me. When it comes to social media, I am very particular about what parts of my life I choose to put on display. You are not going to see a picture of me on the days I haven't showered or shaved my legs, no makeup on, my greasy hair's thrown up in a bun, my eyebrows, Sicilian mustache, and armpit hairs are growing out like weeds. I've got bags under my eyes, dishes piling up in the sink, laundry overflowing, in ratty stained sweatpants, locked in the bathroom on the verge of a mental breakdown because my kid won't stop screaming for no apparent reason. Obviously, I'm not going to post that, and I give a ton of credit for those who might, because those moments do happen. They happen to me and they happen to every other mom. I don't care who you are, and as all moms can probably attest to, especially in that first 3 months, that same scenario can feel like an everyday occurrence. You are on demand 24/7. So as a new mom, when we all look at those perfectly polished and curated Instagrams that are lacking those real moments, they seem to look flawless at every stage of their pregnancy or motherhood, and they snap right back after giving birth, we start to question ourselves and wonder, what the heck am I doing wrong? If we're constantly trying to live up to that unrealistic expectation, it starts to feel isolating. You feel like you're worthless, you have no idea what you're doing, or that you can't handle it, and then it's just this slippery slope. You have all those hormones fluctuating combined with a lack of sleep. It is really easy for depression and anxiety and just overall feelings of inadequacy to creep in, which is a really scary place to be with a newborn in an already stressful time. And then, because it's supposed to be the happiest time of your life, which it is, a lot of women are scared to talk to anyone about it if they're having struggles because they're afraid. People are going to think you're either ungrateful or worse, that you're a bad mother. So a lot of women suffer in silence, and that is dangerous. It's unhealthy and it's really unnecessary, because being a mom is tough, and talking to other moms who have been through it all really does help. So while you may never see me post a picture of that above mentioned scenario, what I will share through this channel are my own experiences and lessons that I learned during those really difficult and trying times, in the hopes that they could possibly help you get through your own. Because I found that the minute I opened up and talked to friends of mine that were mothers and heard their similar stories, I immediately felt better. I was able to pull myself out of those temporary ruts and have the reassurance and the confidence to go forward. I can do this, and I am in fact a good mom. And it saved me from having to experience full-blown postpartum depression, which I'm extremely grateful for. Whether you're a mom or not, I think we as women can help a lot of moms out there just by opening up and talking about this stuff. So let me reiterate this point because it's really important. Do not be fooled by me or anyone else on social media, or anywhere for that matter. Internet, magazines, TV, anywhere. As much as I may try to make it appear as though I have everything together and all figured out, I don't, and neither does anyone else. I am still learning as I go. I've only been a mom for 8 months, but the stuff I do know is because I've lived through it and I had to learn those lessons the hard way, making so many mistakes. And that's what I'll try and pass along, in a chance that maybe I help you avoid having to make the same mistakes. Or if you have to make those same mistakes for yourself, it might just offer you a bit of comfort to know that you're not alone. So in getting back to my point, fashionably fit motherhood is not about striving for perfection or trying to emulate celebrity moms or people on Instagram. It truly comes from a place place of me wanting to look and feel my personal best, and from having to learn the importance of good nutrition, exercise, good sleep habits whenever possible, having a routine, and most importantly, practicing self-care. Now, making that a priority, especially amidst the chaos of being a mother, goes hand in hand with having the energy, the stamina, and the emotional strength to get through the bad days so that you can fully enjoy the good ones. Even if that's not always achievable all the time or even half the time, I do believe that there's a healthy balance that's possible for everyone individually. While it does take some time to figure all of that out and figure out what works for you, that balance is personally what I strive to work towards, and I work towards it every day, and that's what I chose to reflect in the name. I will provide as much valuable information that I've learned in my studies, my everyday life, and in my profession working with my clients. Now, while I'm sure most of you will keep me on my toes, it's also my responsibility to make sure that any information I share be as accurate as possible. I am so grateful for technology and social media platforms like YouTube to have this creative outlet, but it does come with its fair share of downsides. For starters, there's a ton of misinformation out there by self-claimed experts and gurus, and even among the actual qualified experts, you still find a lot of conflicting information out there, especially when it comes to health and nutrition. So as a consumer of that kind of information, it's really frustrating and overwhelming trying to navigate your way through all of that because you don't know who or what to believe. Then throw on top of that a pregnancy, which can be the most terrifying, unsure time of your life, and then suddenly everyone you know is an expert and giving you their advice and imposing their opinions and parenting styles onto you, even if they're completely unwanted and a lot of times uncalled for. They mean well, but it adds more stress to an already stressful time. So remember, the experiences and opinions that I share on this channel are my own. They're never meant to try and convince you of how you should live your life in any way, and it's certainly not to cast judgment or make anyone feel guilty if you don't live the same way I do or share my set of beliefs. This is a judge-free zone, and you will never hear me say how you should live your life or choose to take care of yourself or your family. Just because I study health and nutrition and naturopathic medicine does not mean you won't periodically find me in the drive-thru of a fast food restaurant stuffing my chipmunk cheeks every once in a while. Your kids eat Pop-Tarts and soda for breakfast? I am not going to judge you for it, and it doesn't make you any less of a parent, just like it doesn't make you any more of a parent if your kid eats only organic, non-GMO, grass-fed, vegan, cruelty-free, sugar-free, taste-free air food. We're only humans trying our best. Anytime I offer up guidance or information on this channel, it's meant for those that want to actually hear what I have to say because they're looking for answers. If you're not trying to hear that or anything I have to say, then don't click on the video. Simple as that. I won't be offended, and I'm certainly not going to try and push my lifestyle onto yours or judge any of your decisions if they differ from mine. One of the most irritating things I found over this past year is that everyone thinks they know best because they've been there. And while they have the best of intentions and they're just trying to help and they probably do have more insight and wisdom, that doesn't always mean that their approach is right for you and your family. For example, my husband and I chose to co-sleep with my daughter. But you will never hear me tell any one of my pregnant friends or clients that they should co-sleep just because we had great luck with it ourselves. When people do ask me my opinion on stuff like that, I can only be honest and share the pros and cons of our experience and what went into making that decision in the first place. Co-sleeping isn't right for every family, and neither is having an unmedicated water birth. I want this to feel more like I'm sharing my experiences rather than giving you advice, because in my opinion, advice just easily sounds too preachy, and it runs the risk of making a mother or mother-to-be feel like they're wrong for making their own choices or that they're not even capable of doing so. So as with every piece of advice that you get, take everything with a grain of salt, including what I have to say. Always do your own research, talk with your doctor, and most importantly, use your own judgment and intuition and make informed decisions that feel right for you. I don't have all the answers, and I don't claim to. I am not God. And it's entirely possible that I get a couple things wrong along the way, and that's okay. With your help, I'll be learning just as much as I'll be teaching through this process, and I have a lot to learn. I haven't even hit terrible twos yet, and God help me through the karma of her teenage years. I'm hoping to cover a lot of ground over the next couple years because, as most of you know, I have been through a lot. I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn something new and useful every day, and I can confidently say that whatever it is you're going through, you can get through it. And as was in my case, all of the darkest moments of my life led to the most beautiful new beginnings, and that's what I'd like to share with you. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of some of the key areas that we'll focus on in the channel. I have wanted to do these kinds of videos for years, and I always held myself back because I was so afraid of how I might be perceived and judged. Everyone knew some of the things that I went through personally. But I finally realized that there are so many of us who suffer behind closed doors, and we try so hard to hide it from the world because we're filled with fear and shame, and we don't want to be rejected or embarrassed in front of our circle of family and friends. I know a lot of you can probably relate to this. I grew up with a family from a generation and culture that preferred to keep things very hush-hush. At all costs, they avoided airing out any of their dirty laundry for the neighbors to judge. So a lot of topics were just not talked about, which is understandable, but it's also really tough whenever you're the one going through something and you need their support or their advice or just the feeling of acceptance of those around you. Frankly, some of these topics can be awkward to open up and talk about, especially when we think we're the only ones possibly going through it, and we're afraid it's going to make those around us uncomfortable. I know even for me, it's going to be really hard to talk about some of the issues I struggled with in my teens and my early 20s, but pushing past that fear and connecting with others that have gone through similar situations is so therapeutic because you realize you're not alone. And so being that it's May, which if you didn't know is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's also, I think, Postpartum Awareness Month, I decided to just finally build up enough courage to start making these videos and putting myself out here in a big way to shed some light on my experiences. Being that it's Mother's Day today, I knew I wanted to debut this video as a way to thank my mother and my grandmother and all of the women who are like second moms to me and all of the incredible women that surround me in my circle of friends, my family, like my aunts and my cousins and my dear friends, all of whom I owe a huge debt of gratitude. I consider myself extremely fortunate to have strong, empowering, and supportive women in my life. We've all been through a lot, and as a result, we now have unshakable relationships. We laugh, we cry, I learn from them, I confide in them. They inspire me and motivate me. They talk us off the ledge sometimes. We share about our insecurities and vulnerabilities. They share their wisdom and guidance, or they just lend a listening ear. And they've each, in their own way, contributed to getting me through the darkest times. And honestly, without them, I don't know where I would be today, or even who I'd be. So thank you. And thank you for encouraging me to make these videos and listening to me talk about them for probably the past 3 years. So all I ask is, if you never watch another video of mine, that the message you take away from this is try and keep an open mind and be respectful of others. We're all fighting our own battles, and almost every single one of us has been through our own fair share of tragedies, most of which the outside world would have no idea about. So bear that in mind when you're interacting with people, even complete strangers, because unfortunately, not everyone is as fortunate enough to have a strong support team around them. They may not have strong role models or mentors, or maybe they've lost family members like their mom or their dad or a spouse or a sister or a brother, or maybe they don't have any friends. They don't have people that they can lean on and talk to when the going gets tough, which made me understand why I think it's really important to have platforms like YouTube that are outlets for people to share their stories, but also to connect with others going through something similar. Because, like I've said, one of the most comforting of all reassurances is knowing that we're not alone and that our suffering isn't the first of its kind. And somehow, the silver lining to most tragedies or difficult times we all go through is that we all gain some sort of wisdom or lessons learned that can be shared for the better of all. This channel is about building a community of support for those seeking balance and well-being, no matter who you are, no matter what stage of life you're at. Even if you disagree with some of my lifestyle choices or opinions, that's okay. By respectfully engaging, sharing our experiences, and even our difference of opinions, we can create the kinds of healthy discussions where we actually learn from one another. And we grow as individuals and we find common ground, which leads us to being receptive to new ideas and a better understanding of one another as human beings. So if you choose, there's always a comment section below. If there's anything in any one of my videos that you may disagree with, or you feel you might have more useful or more up-to-date information, or maybe you went through a similar experience, then by all means, please feel free to share. And where appropriate, I'll respond back whenever possible. Thank you so much for listening and getting to the end of this very long video. I I really appreciate it. And if you have anything that you're curious about, or you have some ideas for videos that you'd like me to make, or topics for me to cover, the comment section is also a great place for those as well. I would be happy to hear from you, but if not, we'll see you in the next video. Or not. I did it! I did it! I did it! Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and thank you for always being my biggest supporter. Love you.